Welcome back, Bear fans, to the Windy City Bears Network, where I'm your host, RC. Today, I just want to do a quick video on team needs after free agency heading into the draft. Obviously, looking at the roster from top to bottom, we need depth in a lot of places. We need depth at safety. We could still use a little depth at corner. O-line and D-line, we can use some depth. Running back. So there's really... I say our linebackers are pretty strong, and secondary still has question marks, even though I think we have good starters. But with Brisker, his health concerns, do we give him a contract extension at the end of the season? Even if he doesn't get hurt, even if he plays well, they still have some health concerns with him. He's had 3 concussions in 3 years, and this last one kept him out over 12 games. So that's an issue. The main thing is his health. But if he sustains another concussion, does he have to look to retire? There's a lot of question marks there. Kevin Byard, he's in his last year of his contract. He played well last year, and I like him. We can give him an extension possibly if he plays well. A lot of these questions also have to go with Dennis Allen in the new scheme. Who fits well and who doesn't. If people don't fit well, regardless, they're not going to be re-signed. So Dennis Allen's going to look at trying to bring in players in this draft that fit his scheme. If you look at defensive ends in his system, he likes bigger DNs that can kind of hold everybody back. The main thing is he wants his linebackers to be able to flow. He doesn't want people to be able to get to that second level and get to his linebackers. So hopefully you're going to see TJ Edwards and Edmonds making more plays, running around the field freely and being able to wreak some havoc, hopefully. This new system is a more aggressive defense. Eberflus was a lot of cover 2, a lot of just rush 4. Dennis Allen's defense is not like that. They play a lot more manned. They're asked to do a lot more. The players are, and they're physical. I like this system. We've been running cover 2 for so long with Lovey and Eberflus. We changed it with Vic Fangio, but hopefully this defensive system should be good. And Dennis Allen is a very good defensive coordinator. 8 out the last 10 years, his defenses have been ranked in the top 10. So that was a great hire. But we need a third receiver. Even though we signed a couple guys on 1-year deals, we definitely can use another good, young, quick slot receiver. And looking at the draft, there's a lot of them that's going to be available in the second round. So I wouldn't be surprised if we picked a receiver in a second. But we do need, like I said, just going from top to bottom, we need to add another running back, receiver, D-end, offensive lineman, probably offensive guard, and tackle, safety. We still have more needs than draft picks. Obviously they're going to be looking at, after the draft, undrafted free agents and try and sign a couple of those, but you can't really expect much from those players. But after the draft, there's always a couple of good players that get cut. So maybe we can pick up somebody there also. But I would like us to trade back one of our second round picks or even our first round pick, depending on who's there and who's not. If the players we really covet are not there at 10, I wouldn't mind moving back, 5 picks, 4 picks, 6 picks, and picking up extra third round pick. If we can move back in a second and pick up extra third or fourth, this is a really good draft for the first 4 rounds. There's really good depth at offensive guard. There's some good depth at wide receiver. There's great depth at running back. So there's a lot of holes we have on this roster. I mean, just looking at it, starting wise. I don't think we have a consistent 10 sack defensive lineman on that team. So we can definitely use, even if it's a third down specialist, to get to the quarterback. We can use another running back, especially because I don't believe Swift is going to be here past next year. I think after this year, he will be cut. And the reason why I believe this is because looking at his time in Detroit with Ben Johnson, he wasn't utilized very well. I think he had less than 600 yards rushing that year. And the next year they went out and they got David Montgomery. And then the next year they go out and they draft a running back. I believe it was the next year. Maybe it was the same year. But then Swift wanted to be traded. So Ben Johnson really didn't see him as a guy he wanted to utilize very much in Detroit. So do we think because he came to Chicago all of a sudden now he's going to want to use him more? I don't think so. That's why I definitely can see the Bears picking Ashton Gentry at 10 if he's available, because he would be our long-term solution and Swift is not. I think after this year we'll cut him and be able to save $8 million in cap space next season. And I like Swift, but like they said, if you listen to Eric Bieniemy, he definitely wants to bounce almost every play to the outside. He doesn't like to run up the middle. He doesn't like contact like that. And even looking at him, he had a Pro Bowl season with Philly, right? Because he's a good back. But then we saw what it looked like with an elite back in Philadelphia last season. Saquon almost broke the rushing record. He should have. We would have played one more game. He sat out the last game. But he had an incredible season. So looking at a really good back to an elite back, there's a big difference. And that's why with Ashton Gentry, he's the only elite back in this draft class. I believe that. There's some really good backs, but he's the only elite back. If we're able to get him, which I still don't know if he'll be there at 10. He has to get past the Raiders at 6. I still think the Saints are a team that could pick him. And you don't know if somebody trades up for him. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't pick a running back at 10, but Bijan has been very good for Atlanta. He was a top 10 pick, and Gibbs is just an explosive player, and he was picked at 12. So, but we need depth across this board. We need to add to the wide receiver room. I think that's a big need. We want to give Caleb as many weapons as we can. We need more depth on the O-line for sure, especially with injuries. As a starting group, solid, but I don't believe that there's this blue chip player at 10 that we have to get. So for our offensive linemen, and there's not a lot of blue chip players in this draft, really. Maybe there's 6 or 7. Well, we're picking 10th. So the odds of one of them falling to us is not likely. If you listen to Ryan Poles saying that he would draft a player if it's best available player, even if it's for a position that we're solid at. Tight end, we have Cole Kmet. But if Warren's there at 10 and the other players we want are gone, I definitely can see us doing that. I can see us picking a corner at 10. It's not a big need. But if the best available player is at 10 and you cannot move back, I can see that. Maybe the safety from Georgia, Starks. He's a heck of a ball player, and he could be a long-term solution for the Bears. Maybe he's the best available player. So we'll kind of see. We still have a little bit under a month to go now for the draft, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Just over 3 weeks, but things can change in the next couple of weeks as far as people moving up and down the draft board. But yeah, we still have a lot of work to do with this roster. I think the roster is a lot better. I have a video coming up. Hopefully I'll be able to release it tomorrow. I'm going to break down all of the teams in our division, Green Bay, Detroit, us, the Packers, and rank the division from talent-wise, who has the best roster in our division. Because if we can't compete in our division, we're not going to get to the playoffs. and Ryan Poles is going into his 4th year. It's about time to take this division. It's about time to make the playoffs. So I don't know if we're still 1 year away. I think our roster is definitely better. I think we can compete, but competing and being a legit, consistent playoff team is a big difference. So we still have a couple players to go before we can get to that point, and we need players to take a step up. Hopefully Rome Odunze has a good year. I think he should. I think he should be utilized a lot more, and Caleb should take a jump. So we have some young talent. They just need to keep getting better. So I have a video out tomorrow. If you like these videos, like the content, please hit a like, subscribe. Until then, bear down.